Hello there and welcome. In this video I got you 5 builds that are excellent when you're just starting out in Age of Wonders 4. They all are quite straightforward to play, feature the basic factions and are mostly without DLCs. There's one build which relies heavily on DLC tomes, but I have alternatives if you don't own these. So let's get started. Number 1 build is featuring the Mystic culture, namely with the Attunement School. This makes you, whenever you cast a spell, get a buff on your troops. You start out with the Tome of Evocation because Lightning Blades and Lightning Focus boosts your troops excellently. Fulmination is really good to trigger your cultural Starblades thing, and Evokers are just excellent battle mages before you get your tier 3 battle mages. The lesser Storm Spirits can fit in when you need a Stormtrooper, which is actually not bad. These guys fit to this build insofar as you can just breach enemies in the backline or peel stuff that wants to get into your backline. The complement to this tome is the Tome of the Horde. We mainly picked this for the Spawnkin transmutation, which will bring us 20% more damage on our troops, which is pretty nuts. We are already hitting hard, this makes us hit even harder. Skip on the Houndmaster, we're really bad with archers in general, we don't need that. But Blaze of the Horde and Fury of the Horde are actually quite decent on this build. But we're mostly for the Spawnkin. Unleash the Warhounds is a hidden superstar, so to speak. Summon Irregulars can also give you quick troop access for mana, also not bad at all. With the tier 2, we go into Mayhem to gain access to Mark of Misfortune. This is the main takeaway here. We start debuffing the enemy now to fumble their attacks, which makes them hit way less hard, which helps us to survive because we are actually a bit of a squishy faction. It gives us really good skirmisher units, which make the enemy vulnerable to flanking and kick them out of their defense modes. This is really horribly hard. Strong setup for hard-hitting attacks, and they are also really hard to kill. You can also farm infestations by just creating themselves and destroy them afterwards. Really good stuff. We're pairing this up with the Darkness Tome of Doom Herald. This gives us now the capability to suck the enemy's morale down and take profit out of this while keeping our own morale high. This is really powerful. The Banshee is another battle mage unit that our build can utilize as well, and the Doom Depth Trench gives you tasty knowledge points. Really good stuff. We're topping it off with the Chaos Tome of Pandemonium, which gives us Vessels of Chaos, which means we're going to deal even more damage on the amount of negative statuses on the enemy, but by now we're really inflicting plenty of these. We also gain the ability to inflict random ones via battle mage hits, which we rack up lots of, and we also gain a really good tier 4 battle mage that can then eat those statuses to deal damage. Really good combo, but it gets even better when we add in the Tome of Amplification for even more damage on archers. If we ever have some, you can now make them decently hitting, but you can skip this out pretty much. We are mostly here for the frenzying focus, Battle Mage power up, Astral Blood, everybody's critting harder and more, not harder, and Amplification Pylon and Chain Lightning for more damage. Amplify Minds for more knowledge income, and when we come to tier 4, well, the options that you can take are really pretty manifold. You can go for Astral Convergence for more spell procs, which is really powerful. And the other tier 4 that I personally see working really well is Chaos Channeling as well as Demon Gate. You can select which one you want, but keep in mind, if you pick Demon Gate, the Astral one is not as interesting anymore because you can only take one major racial transformation. It is also absolutely okay to backtrack downwards to other tiers of tomes. You don't have to pick tier 4 tomes if you don't find anything pleasing. From this point on, you're really open for whichever path you want to take. This build opens up to your own power fantasy because the most oppressive gameplay loop is already implemented from this point on. Build number 2 is a feudal build. We're playing Evolution here, and we're playing it with the Tome of the Beasts for animal kinship, so our troops get empowered by animals. We can power up animals and cavalry, which is dominant in the feudal culture, and we're playing with the evolution tome. Here, if you don't own the DLC, which opens that up, pick up any other tome which lets you summon elementals. Preferably fire ones, because this would fit to the affinities, but it pretty much works of anything. If you have it, the Tome of Evolution is picked up to make your evolution troops survive more, well, more often and more reliably. It doesn't help your feudal troops, but it does help evolving all those wonderful animals that you can hire with this combo. We are then moving on to the Tome of Revelry to make our troops gain experience faster, power up our troops in general a little bit with the given means of Blood Fury weapons and skulls, and the Reveler's Heart is good for the Feudal's morale gameplay in general. We can now combine that in the ideal case if you have access to the tome with Famists, because that makes your supporters go crazy and generally you gain access to a very, very good unit. But if you don't have access to this, you can pretty much also pick up either the Tome of Mayhem to power up your rangers like I explained in build number 1, or the Tome of Summoning, because you will be playing with elementals, and Arcane Restoration is one hell of a spell, as well as Arcane Supercharge. Options if you don't have those. Next step in the list will be the Tome of Vigor to power up your animals with empowered beasts, make your troops harder to kill with super growth, and gain access to tier 3 and tier 4 animals, as well as animal spam in the Totem of the Wild, together with a really, really good buff spell that brings some Berserk though. Handle that carefully. So after that, go either Tome of Cycles for more damage, or if you have it, Tome of Dragons for dragons. So this is again bound to a DLC. Since I'm trying to advertise beginner builds, I always try to make it with the basic tomes. So after that, we pick up the Tome of Paradise for Gaia's Chosen, which is really powerful. Or if you have the super growth and the Gaia, or if you have super growth and Gaia's Chosen together, you have a lot of HP more, and that's really powerful. And Exhilarating Pollen gives you super, super strong flanking effects. It's really something else. So after that, feel free to go wherever you please. This evolution build can now go into further nature tomes or more elementals. You can also take a direction towards Materium. Feel free to. The core of the build is done. It is very resilient, bound on making your troops evolve and work well together via morale boosts and the like. Build number 3, the industrial tanks. So this is industrial culture, and we pair Tome of Warding for the insane interaction of Staves of Warding and the cultural supporters. They can heal a lot more with this. And we also gain a lot of other defensive tools, but this is really the main takeaway. Phantasmal Warriors are also really good. And we couple that up with Tome of Zeal. Tome of Zeal gives you access to Legion of Zeal and Inspiring Chant, the main damage combo in the early game. So we have defensive qualities on Warding and damage qualities on Zeal, which is really important because the Industrious culture is a little bit lacking on that end. With the tier 2 tomes, we pick up Inquisition to debuff the enemy with our ranged attacks, pick up a tier 3 damage dealing unit that really is worth the money, and gain access to Mass Condemnation to make enemies easier get shut down, or Inquisitor's Mark gets more often applied, and Tribunal for more stability and knowledge of population. Good economy thing. We couple it up with the Tome of Revelry. Here again, similar reasons as per usual, but not so much for the unit XP, but more for the Reveler's Heart. More morale, more crits, more damage of Blood Fury weapons, and skulls are a really nice supplement to what we are already doing, as they are also profiting off the Tome of Warding, and they increase also crits and increase damage. So here we're also softly shoving up the damage here, again a bit of a notch. Tier 3, we pick up Devastation for more crits, exploding enemies, badass tier 4 Shock Troopers, the opportunity to blast our own units into tier 4 Shock Troopers, and make our Battle Mages kick people out of defense modes. Really good stuff. Coupled up with the Tome of Sanctuary of Order to get back to our defensive profile. Anointed People and Keeper's Mark makes your troops really hard to kill. Salvation is a really good oh shit button, and you also gain some territorial defense measures. Tier 4, Supremacy, is really a good pick. Makes you hit quite hard with your battle mages, but you can also go for Exaltation. Both fit. Here again, your build is pretty complete with either with Exaltation and the aforementioned things. Feel free to go crazy after that and be creative. Number 4 is a high culture rush build, which means you're getting quick on your feet and you're hitting hard. So we're packing up here Tome of Zeal because the Legion of Zeal in combination with the Awakening mechanic is actually insane. Together with Inspiring Chant, you're already hidden like a truck, but we are amping that up a little bit more with the Tome of the Hordes Spawnkin, or the aforementioned, really powerful. We gain super cheap access to troops via Summon Irregulars. The Houndmaster is actually on the High Culture a really good unit, so don't skip it here, and the rest of the spells were already been explored before. We couple it up with Mayhem for debuffing the enemy to maintain a high damage profile. It is very helpful to debuff the enemy's damage via this, because, you know, we can't be careful enough. Gremlins are excellent because they open up flanking, which is already a strong side of the high culture by itself. And the other tools are useful for the same reasons as they were in the previous builds. The Tome of the Beacon is the next one that we're picking up, which will bring us Mighty Meek, which makes all of our tier 1 units eventually very valuable. AoE healing and morale boosting, and the Lightbringers are for the high culture, really, really nice beasties. Tier 2 mages that can convert enemies. You can keep the converted troops even if you have enough mana, and since battle mages are very high culture affine, it's pretty nice. You also have nice interactions with free cities via Covenant of the Faith and Blessed Reinforcements. From here on out, we go to Sanctuary. Here again, tankiness reasons. Same as for the Industrious build, we use Anointed People, Keeper's Mark, and Salvation to keep our troops alive. We couple it up here now with the Tome of Pandemonium, because we actually are already able to inflict 3 different statuses. That's Condemnation, Distraction, and the Misfortune from Mayhem. So we're well set on that end. And with Havoc Magic, we amp that up even further. We feature a lot of battle mages on the high culture, so the synergy is there. Vessels of Chaos again powers up everybody on our race. And Chaos Eaters, yeah, you get the picture. We top this build off in the end with the Tome of Supremacy, which is for a battle mage-centric build, insane, because it now gives your battle mages zeal as well and makes the enemy explode, so try to finish off the enemies with your battle mages. You gain a really strong tier 4 frontliner, which is something the high culture loves to have. They lack a solid frontline in their innate roster, so this one comes in handy super well, and the other tools are just no further explanations needed, I think. Here, again, open it up or end it up with whatever you please. We don't need to go too strategical here anymore. Number 5 is a Barbarian build, where I felt like, let's give you a critical hit build for the Barbarians to the list, because it's very fun to play. Goes like this. We play Roots to begin with for damage amplifiers on Blight Blades and Poison Arrows. Healing Roots for some sustain. Vine Prison immobilizes enemies in the vicinity, makes them... It's an excellent battlefield disruptor because the AI loves to attack the vines instead of your troops. And the Entwined Thralls, well, I'm kind of torn because the Sunderers are really cool units, but these guys evolve into Entwined Protectors. So you can choose. They're really good for the build, but at the end of the day, both your cultural and these skirmishes are really good. We combine this tome now, again, with the Tome of the Horde, for similar reasons as per usual. Spawnkin for more damage. Houndmasters are, here again, since we are an archer-centric culture, not bad at all. And the rest of the spells are good because of the given reasons, but as with the previous builds as well. These spells, they don't change too much with playing Barbarians or High Culture or Mystic. It's basically always the same pair of shoes. So we combine here now Revelry, because Revelry helps you to gain more morale, important for critical hits. Blood Fury weapons does the same thing, a little bit less reliable, but here primarily Blood Fury weapons, Reveler's Heart, and Skulls also have the capability to increase the critical hit profile, Rally does that, and Song of Carnage does that. It's a really nice thing about that. The other tome we're picking up is the Tome of Artificing. Gives us Artisan Armaments for a whopping 30% critical hit chance, and it gives us Iron Golems, which means we have now a solid front line, because Berserkers aren't exactly the best front line. So that is really cool. Siege Magic, on top of that, well, it is not as good as with other cultures, but it is good to have on your Shaman. The tier 3 tomes we pick up, we go here now for Chaos Devastation, for even more critical hit chance on our melees and exploding enemies, so we are now sitting at 50% critical hit and various morale boosting effects. Focus of Devastation gives you now a good reason to bundle up more supporters in your army. It really makes your skulls go places, and you also get the cool warp rate, which are a nice complement to your berserkers. Couple this one up now with Nature's Tome of Cycles, and you got yourself a nasty damage profile on the backline. Projectiles of Decay are not only good for archers and mages and supporters, they also inflict decaying, which is one of the most obnoxious conditions to suffer from, because it shuts down the entire healing gameplay unless it's cleansed. This is insanely powerful. I personally value it as one of the most, if not the most potent damage over time effect in game. You also gain a couple of nice healing tools with Diffuse Health and Parting Gifts. Druid of the Cycle can explode one of your dudes and resurrect him after they killed somebody. So you need to stay in time with that loop, but it is actually quite powerful, and they pack quite a punch, so killing enemies isn't that hard after all. And yeah, Cycle of Seasons is a nice jack-of-all-trades enchantment. It's really jack-of-all-trades. And we top this build off with Paradise. Paradise here again makes our troops tanky, because this is just something we always can love, and Exhilarating Pollen makes the enemy susceptible to flanking attacks and gives you morale. So it's the best of two worlds. They get more susceptible to damage, and you increase your chance to critical hit. What's not to like about that? So you can then go wherever you please. You have a pretty high-ish chaos affinity. If you can get the chaos affinity together, I would recommend probably to go for Demonkin in the end form, because the frenzy on all of your units is again very, very powerful, but I'll leave that up to you. So that's 5 builds which I find extremely beginner compatible. I hope this list is helpful for you. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'll do a second part at some point, because, you know, there's a couple more really good and strong beginner-compatible builds that I could think of. But these popped up in my mind because they were all with basic factions, basic tomes, mostly. And yeah, I hope you liked them. Let me know what you think. Leave me a like, leave me a subscribe. Feel free to donate or join the channel membership or whatever tickles your fancy. I would be happy about any type of support. I want to say thanks to all of the supporters of Icon Gaming, and I also want to say a big thanks for watching this video up until the very end. It means a lot to me, and thanks for spending your time here. Have a nice day, and see you soon.